Yes, good evening and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. It's a pleasure to be back once again. It's been a beautiful day. It's been a wonderful day, a very fulfilling day on all fronts. For those that have registered some wins, we do celebrate with you. And for those that have incurred losses, we do sort of commiserate with you in any respect whatsoever. And we do hope that the Almighty God does, align things well for you going forward. But yeah, it's good to be back here. This is our third live broadcast today, in case you're wondering, because our first came in the morning hours. That was around 9 a.m. Then we had one at around 2 p.m., the lunchtime hour broadcast. It's something new. It's not a daily thing. It's something that, is dependent on lunchtime hour news. But maybe, just maybe, we will consider making it a little more routine at lunchtime. So I'm really considering that. But it all depends. It all depends on my schedule, which is quite a bit tight, by the way, must I admit. But yeah, we try to make it happen. We try to come here every single day and bring you the latest from the world of sport, from the world of football. Thank you so much, Jay. I think, what's the name? Just for the laugh, 77. Yes, you managed to catch our lunchtime broadcast, although you were a little late for that one. You arrived when we were almost, I think, signing out. But it was a pleasure to have you. And everybody else that was joining us or that did manage to join us during that time of the broadcast. For those of you that went and watched the live much later after the broadcast, we also equally appreciate you for your efforts. And yeah, today we'll be continuing basically with the conversation that we did have at lunchtime, because it's about the same player dominating the news, at least in the last 10 hours or so, because Arsenal have acted really fast, contrary to what many, often criticize them for. This time round, they seem to have surprised everybody in the manner in which they really acted. And so it's not very often that you hear 1 minute Arsenal are interested in signing the player, second minute they make an offer. Please like the broadcast, guys. Please like the broadcast. Do me the absolute favor and like the broadcast. But more importantly, also subscribe to the channel if you're new here and help support me on this journey. Thank Guy. Hi, how are you, my brother? How are you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. Where are you joining us from? Please like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel and help support this channel and help me support on this journey of growth as a content creator. And welcome to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. It's about 11:22 p.m. And counting in the Pearl of Africa, where I'm joining you live from. And on that note, therefore, I wish to say thank you, Team India, Team UK, USA, Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda, and every other country, Indonesia, Brazil, Italy, and every other single country that have with fans that normally regulars on this channel. People like Zero Recream, people like Christian Norgaard. Thank you so much for always sparing the time to be with us. People like Ashley Cabrera, thank you so much. I do not take your time for granted. Really, I do not take it for granted. So, anyways, we are here to speak about Arsenal and beyond, of course, the transfer news, what's happening. Arsenal have agreed a deal of about £10 million to sign Christian Norgaard from Brentford. Now, the Brentford captain, 31 years of age, Denmark international, has already agreed to personal terms to make the switch from the GTEC Stadium to the Emirates Stadium. It has been a bit of a surprise move, really, in the way, the pace at which Arsenal moved, but also the news in itself. I think it was first reported by Bold in Denmark, who did reveal that Arsenal had made an offer to sign Christian Norgaard. Now, for people like us that often discuss these big teams, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, Usually, by the time a deal happens, you've had some rumors here and there in the pipeline. But unfortunately, or unfortunately, this time around, it sort of caught most people by surprise. I must be honest, because 1 minute we had, David Austin breaking the news, literally to some of us, and then a couple of hours later, it was news that Arsenal had reached an agreement to sign the player, and there it is. Personal terms are not an issue. We do not know what the length of the contract is going to be, but at least that has been agreed, and it is expected to be completed. £10 million, 5 million pounds in expected add-ons. I get the feeling that this will likely be unachievable add-ons. Things like if he wins a Premier League title, if he wins the UEFA Champions League, or if he wins a major trophy, maybe the FA Cup also, if he makes maybe more than 30 appearances in the Premier League in a single campaign, and things of that nature, really, that, Brentford get an extra pay for him. But £10 million, that's quite a scoop. Now, of course, he comes as a Thomas Partey replacement, because in the wake of news that Thomas Partey is officially leaving the club at the end of his contract this month. Arsenal and the player both entered into contract negotiations, hoping to reach an agreement. Both parties wanted each other. Thomas Partey wanted to stay. Arsenal wanted Thomas Partey to stay. But he was going to stay as a squad player. He was going to stay in a more routine, in a more Jorginho-like role, where you're not the main guy, but then you are the perfect guy to replace the main guy, in that kind of sense. Because Arsenal are making a financial outlay of up to 65 million euros to sign Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. And if they are outlaying that, that means he's going to be the primary, starter in that holding midfield role. Remember, for Thomas Partey, when they were signing him back in 2020, you remember during the COVID-19, they paid 50 million euros for him. So you do not buy a player that is more expensive than Partey. You just sit around your bench. So I think the writing was on the wall, and both parties knew what they were getting. Unfortunately, Thomas Partey, on the back of what was a brilliant season for him, he wanted an improvement on his wages, which Arsenal were objective to. Which Arsenal objected to, and then it just didn't happen. They just didn't offer him that kind of deal. They were willing to offer him a new contract, 1-year contract, perhaps with an option to extend for a further year on the same wages. Initially, some reports had indicated that Arsenal had even considered taking a slice of those very wages, to say, we'll give you reduced wages if you do agree to stay. And I assume if those reports hold any water to them, the wage cut wouldn't have been as big. It wouldn't be something significant where you say you're going from 200k per week to 150. Maybe it was dropping maybe to 170, 180. Nonetheless, for a player like Thomas Partey, yeah, it would have been painful. But also, the more concrete news was that they were willing to offer him the contract on his current terms, although he wanted a little more, he wanted an increase on those terms. I think part of it was premised on the rumors that Leandro Trossard is having his contract possibly renewed with improved terms, based on what we gather, not extending the timelines, but on improved terms and things of that nature. But it has not happened, really. It has not yet happened for Leandro Trossard. It has not worked out between Thomas Partey and Arsenal. They failed to reach an agreement, and that's why the Gunners have acted quickly. This week, we had reported to you that he was set for one-on-one talks with the manager, Mikel Arteta. Remember, they've already started preparations for pre-season. Now, because pre-season, I do expect, I think Arsenal players report around between the 6th and the 9th there to report for their pre-season officially. So usually the managers, coaches tend to come in a little earlier, maybe at the start of next week, to start preparations, to work on a few things here and there, do their, internal reviews and things of that kind. So during that time is when he was expected to have that's Mikel Arteta, to have one-on-one talks with Thomas Partey. Now, those talks didn't yield, perhaps, we do not have the inside information in regards to what they pertain to. And maybe it was to say, look, we understand you've not responded to our contract offer for the last, this amount of period of time. Here's what we were hoped to achieve. Here's what we had hoped for, but it looks like it's not going to work out. And then the two parties be like, good luck to you, best of luck to you. And there you have it. So, and now we are speaking about the Brentford captain in Christian Norgaard, reaching an agreement to join Arsenal. Now, it's that kind of decision that has sort of divided Arsenal fans. Some see it as a brilliant move, quite the scoop, to sign a player like Christian Norgaard for £10 million. And he's not going to cost you 200k per week. If anything, he could cost you something like 80 to 100k per week, As soon as the player was approached, he did quickly acknowledge that he would be open to join, that he would love to join Arsenal. And Arsenal simply acted up and made their offer in the north over 11 million euros to try and sign him. And pretty much we went from there. Because as the day was breaking, David Austin said Arsenal are exploring a deal to sign Christian Norgaard for Brentford. Proposal, 11 million euros for a player that still had, about 2 years left for his contract. Now, last summer or the summer before that, Tottenham tried to sign the same player, and they were told it will cost in the excess of £45 million. And Arsenal are here getting him perhaps just a year later for what? £10 million? I mean, that's not a scoop, then I do not know what is. Then, like I said, it's a decision that has sort of split the Arsenal fan base. And I'll be reading you some, at least one key comment from one of the Arsenal faithfuls. Then, shortly after that, we then got reports that Arsenal had agreed a fee, and then it was a here we go, of course, from the usual suspect in Fabrizio Romano, who said Christian Norgaard to Arsenal, here we go, argument done on club to club after 11 million euro proposal sent today. Personal terms already agreed with Norgaard, set for medical. Brentford have authorized the player to travel new midfielder to replace Thomas Partey. Now, again, here is the gist of the conversation. In principle, he's a replacement for Jorginho. You know, the kind of squad player that you have around, the kind of player that replaces your main guy. What basically Jorginho, the kind of role that he played in that Arsenal team, he knew he wasn't the regular starter. He was happy to be on the bench and, chip in whenever called to action. So that's what Christian Norgaard is walking into. On the part of the player, it's a chance to play at a bigger team in Arsenal. It's an opportunity to play UEFA Champions League football. Hi, Odin. How are you, my brother? Good to have you back. Always a pleasure to see you engaging with us. I hope you're having a good day or you've had a wonderful day. So he's that kind of player and he knows what he's walking himself into and he's okay with that. So in principle, he's a replacement for Jorginho. In terms of playing style, he is slightly, not at full strength, but a direct comparison to Thomas Partey, just the way Martin Zubimendi is a direct comparison to Jorginho. Jorginho and Martin Martin Zubimendi are both these sort of calmer players, physically lesser compared to Thomas Partey kind of profile of player, or Declan Rice even. They are more technical, more tactical. They anticipate the game. They read the game. They want to determine the tempo of the game. They know when to play the short, long pass. That kind of brilliance. A Sergio Busquets of some sort. He's not going to be a hard tackler, but he's just going to read the game, anticipate the game, and make an interception or the right pass at the right moment. That's Jorginho. That's Martin Zubimendi. You get. So then you come to Christian Norgaard. He is more physical. He is like a Thomas Partey. He may not progress the ball as much as Thomas Partey, or he may not. Maybe Thomas Partey may beat him a notch higher when it comes to physicality, but at least you do appreciate he is in that mold. And again, we had spoken about this, that it wouldn't be ideal for Arsenal to lose Jorginho and Thomas Partey in the same window, that it would be catastrophic. Now, because you'll be losing two players that are very proven, and yet for you to try and replace them, it wouldn't be ideal for you to replace them with two Premier League novices, because you're bringing in Martin Zubimendi, who you do not know how he's going to fare within the Premier League and Arsenal itself. So if you have to replace a player like Thomas Partey, still going outside the Premier League to find that replacement would have been an unpopular decision, to say the least, because then you have two players in a crucial part of the central midfield who are both not acclimatized to the league that they are walking into, nor to the style of the team that they are joining, So it would have been a little too much. So it makes perfect sense that Arsenal have gone for a Premier League proven player. He's been at Brentford for the last 4 years, averaging at least more than 30 appearances. Perhaps he's been at Brentford, slightly even more than 4 years. But at least in as far as the Premier League is concerned, he's been right there with them ever since they earned promotion in 2021. In that first season, he played 35 games, scored 3 goals, provided 4 assists. The season after that, 2022-2023, made 22 appearances, 1 goal, 3 assists. The subsequent season, 2023-2024, he scored 2 goals, provided 1 assist. And then last season, he registered 5 goals and 4 assists. That's a 9-goal involvement in about 34 appearances. It gives him a personal tally of 11 goals across 122 appearances. Just in the Premier League alone. If we were to divide that, 122 appearances, divided by 4 seasons, he averages at least 30 games per season. So that means if you have an issue, a significant issue with Martin Zubimendi, then you have a player that is primarily proven that can slot in and give you a good performance and give you that reliability and give you, of course, he himself would need to adapt to the Arsenal way of playing, but at least the Premier League in itself, in context, is no stranger to him. He's been there, he's done it, So Arsenal do get that advantage. They get a player who is very good with passing the ball, interception, he's good at that, and things of that regard, really. He's actually been with Brentford for 6 years because he was with them in the Championship, where in 2019-2020, he played 45 games, while the subsequent season, he only played 18. But he's that kind of player that will once in a while promise you a goal, give you an assist. He has the long range pass. He's a hard tackler, wins the ball quite well, often. So he's one of the Premier League's best midfielders, by the way. And I've seen some people dub him a Lodri light. That means they compare him to Lodri, but they do appreciate that he is, a Class B of Lodri. And if you're getting a Class B of Lodri for a substitute player, then that's quite brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I think it's a good piece of business for Arsenal to be doing at this moment in the transfer window. That means it brings their tally of signings to 3. They've already completed the paperwork for Martin Zubimendi. We are waiting for the announcement to come whenever it will come. Kepa Arrizabalaga, everything has checked out for him to make the move to Arsenal. All the paperwork has been, done and dusted. Just waiting for what? We are waiting for the deal to equally be announced. So really, it's that kind of situation, because it's a done deal. Medical will be done. All documents signed between parties, Chelsea and Arsenal, and there you have it. So Kepa, Christian Norgaard, Martin Zubimendi, that's 3 players. Of course, Arsenal have already lost 3 players in regards to the first team squad in Kieran Tierney, Jorginho, and now Thomas Partey. But at least 2 of those have been replaced. The other was Neto, the goalkeeper, the substitute goalkeeper. He was on loan from Bournemouth. He since returned to Bournemouth. at the end of his loan spell, and now you replace him with the unexperienced 30-year-old Spanish goalkeeper who only in 2018 cost Chelsea 70, million pounds, and now you're getting him on a chip of a mere 5 million pounds. I think financially these two deals, especially with Christian Norgaard and and Pepe Arrizabalaga, make loads and loads of sense. They make loads and loads of sense because the club is going to, it does save, especially on cutting down their wage bill, and then it gives them a little more room to play with when it comes to their budget and the transfer window and the rest of the transfer window. We know they want a left winger. We know they want a striker. We know they would want to sign a right winger, but also maybe a number 10. Again, maybe, and we'll wait to see how that really works out or how that really is going to play out. But for me, his abilities are not in question. More than 400 appearances for club and country in his career, that's quite reasonable experience. That's quite experience that you bank on. So, Arsenal fans, do let me know what your thoughts are on that news regarding Christian Norgaard, on whether you think he will be a good fit for Arsenal, whether you do agree with the decision that Arsenal have taken. Of course, a lot of people have said, why not just pay Thomas Partey to, a little more, to have, his experience, his dynamism. He can play at right back, he's that good a player. And if push comes to shove, maybe even push him to the center back. So I do understand those arguments. They're all valid, if I'm being honest, really. But the thing about Thomas Partey is that his injury record does not really support him that much. Because when you look at his Premier League appearances, for example, last season, he made 35 Premier League appearances, and yes, 35 Premier League appearances. But the season before that, he had made only 14. Only 14. And when you wind back the season after that, because that means he missed 20 what? He missed 24 Premier League games in that season. Then you wind it back to 2022-2023, and Thomas Partey made 33 appearances. So he missed only about 5 in that season. Then for his first 2 seasons, that's 2020-2021 and 2021-2022, when he was just still trying to get himself acclimatized to the league, he made 24 appearances, meaning he missed at least 14 games in each of those 2 seasons. That's a combined 28 games. Now, that's a lot of games to miss through injuries, especially when you are a player that important or that pivotal to a team. So that and unfortunately for him, every time he got injured, it was at a crucial part of the season. For example, 2021-2022, you remember when Arsenal were pushing to finish within the top 4. You remember that last push when they went and, of course, lost to Tottenham Hotspurs, I think by 2-0, when Tottenham Hotspurs were under the charges of, what's his name? The Napoli manager. I'm forgetting his name. Napoli manager and former Chelsea manager there in Antonio Conte, yes. So that's the time he suffered his injury and he wasn't available. Then, and remember, it had been a sort of a similar scenario the season before that. So a lot of Arsenal fans were not really happy about his availability. Then the 2022-2023 season, he came and turned it on. Scored 3 goals in that campaign, And then this season after that, that's when he made 14 appearances. So his availability has always been in question overall. But last season, he did himself quite well, scoring 4 goals and providing 2 assists. That's a 6-goal target, more than he had managed in any other season at Arsenal during his 5 seasons. He was a disciplined player, didn't get himself, sent off really, but that's what Arsenal will miss. They will miss a player that is physically astute, good at progressing the ball, every time he's available. Really, his question was never out of doubt. But they do get a replacement who is a good squad player. That's the way I view it. We'll get to just that news and a lot more in the coming days, or perhaps even tomorrow. But let's move on to other news regarding Cristiano Ronaldo, because all paperwork are being readied for him to extend his stay at Al Nassr. He is expected to sign a 2-year contract with the Saudi Pro League club, running him until at least June 2027. So that news is also there. We've spoken about it before, that he still wants to feature at the World Cup with Portugal, and we do expect him to be with Portugal for the FIFA World Cup come 2026 in America, Canada, and Mexico. Now, this is, of course, injuries notwithstanding, but we all know him. He's a player that oftentimes is in shape and does keep himself in shape. Briefly, before I'd forgotten, I'd promised you an opinion about, this is from Charles Watts, one of the Arsenal correspondents, a lifetime Arsenal fan, really, who said, far from convinced by Norgaard, just personal opinion, obviously, but doesn't feel like Jorginho out Norgaard in makes the squad stronger. But happy to be proven wrong, wasn't convinced by Jorginho when he signed either, and he ended up a fine addition. Arsenal have acted quickly, though, to the party talks, not reaching an agreement, and moved for their Zubimendi backup. No messing around with that one. Did the same with Kepa when Garcia proved impossible. So, one, he commends Arsenal for the speed that they've exercised, or they've showed in signing, Christian Norgaard, in making a move for him. In the wake of news that they are not going to reach an agreement with Thomas Partey, similar to what they did when they realized Joan Garcia was bound for Barcelona, and they were not going to get him as their number 2 goalkeeper, so they made a move for Kepa Arrizabalaga. I'm sure over the longer course of the summer, there would have been other suitors for Kepa Arrizabalaga, should that have been the case, really. But, I mean, Arsenal have won that race. Then still, Juventus want to keep Randall Colomwani. It's reported that PSG want about 45 million euros to let the player go. He spent last season on loan to Juventus. Then Luka Modric is bound for AC Milan. He will be signing come July. We do expect that he will be signing his contract come July. And it's going to be a 1-year contract with an option to extend to a further year. That's that. And then, of course, you do have, he's 39 really. So giving him a contract longer than that would be perhaps a little unwise. But yeah, Luka Modric will be playing in an AC Milan jersey next season. Then Al Hilal and AC Milan, of course, Theo Hernandez still is on the verge of joining Al Hilal, even though, clubs did agree on a fee a long time ago, and of course the player has sort of taken a long time to reach an agreement to join Al Hilal, but it's finally over the line. Then Manchester United are well advanced in their talks to sign Brandon Mbeumo from Brentford. Now, the deal will be in the excess of £60 million. They are finalizing, the nitty-gritties of, maybe add-ons and structure of payments and things of that nature. That's the stage at which they are, but the talks are really, really advanced for Manchester United to sign Brandon Mbeumo from Brentford, the 25-year-old Cameroon attacking forward. So then Paris Saint-Germain had new contacts today for Ilai Zabani to try and reach an agreement for his transfer. They have already agreed personal terms with the player, with the Ukraine 22-year-old defender on a 5-year contract. They are still waiting to reach an agreement on transfer fees. Understand Brentford are demanding a fee in excess of 59 million pounds for him. PSG last offered about 55 million pounds. So we wait and see. But that deal is equally closer, drawing closer and closer as negotiations have really, really advanced. Then, of course, Barcelona president Joan Laporta did confirm that if everything goes well this week, then we would have very good news for Ansu Fati. He's set to join AC Monaco. It's going to be a season-long loan with an option to buy, should they feel impressed with his, his performances. So, I mean, let's wait and see. Then Joan Laporta did say that I don't understand why Atletico Bilbao want to speak about Barcelona with La Liga. I don't think it's appropriate, but that's their problem. I think, Atletico Bilbao may have approached La Liga to say, I mean, if Barcelona can't maybe pay our release clause in full, then they shouldn't be speaking to a player, or to say, how are Barcelona able to do this? I mean, it's all their financial troubles. Can they be even able to register a player like Nico Williams if they were to sign him? And things of that nature usually. Our clubs do these kinds of things. You remember Nottingham Forest wrote to UEFA in the wake of Crystal Palace having the same owner in John Dexter, who also owns Lyon. Lyon yesterday being relegated. For those of you that want the details about Lyon's relegation, go check out our broadcast from this morning. We spoke at length about Lyon's relegation to League Two, and it's not impressive really, but largely around finances. So let's wait and see on that front. Then AC Milan continue with their negotiations to try and sign Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen. Those talks are still ongoing, while there have been positive negotiations between Borussia Dortmund and Chelsea over the signing of Jamie Gittens. But there is still no agreement on a transfer fee because BVB want up to 65 million euros, while Chelsea are still reluctant to pay that high a fee for the 20-year-old England winger. So those are some of the, the transfer speculation rumors that are making the rounds. Of course, Napoli remain in their pursuit for Darwin Núñez. Is their primary target for a striker, regardless of anything else you may have had linking them with the move for Jonathan David from Lille, and among others. So that notwithstanding, their primary target remains Darwin Núñez. Again, Manchester United, they will be in the market for a striker. They would like to get their business in order before pre-season, because Ruben Amorim wants to cook during pre-season so that when the Premier League kicks off, then he's simply ready to serve. We can't wait. Briefly, on the FIFA Club World Cup, action is ongoing. Mamelodi Sundowns are up against Fluminense, and that game is still goalless, while the other game is between Borussia Dortmund and Uslan Hyundai. Borussia Dortmund do lead by a goal to nil in that game. By the way, that goal scored by Svensson, yes, with Job Bellingham providing the assist. Remember, Job Bellingham scored in the previous game. If it finishes like that, it means that Borussia Dortmund will advance as the leaders of Group F with a tally of 7 points, while Fluminense will have come second with a tally of 5 points, and Mamelodi Sundowns will have to be sent home packing with their mere 4 points. Meanwhile, if Mamelodi Sundowns are able to win against Fluminense, then they do advance to the round of 16 as well. So that's the update from the FIFA Club World Cup for the fixtures that are ongoing as we speak of this moment. I did tell you about Chelsea advancing as well as Flamengo, with Chelsea coming second in Group D, with Flamengo topping that group, and Chelsea will be facing Benfica at the round of 16. So really, that's the other update from the FIFA Club World Cup. Of course, sorry. Yes, action will continue at 4 a.m. Inter Milan up against Liverpool Plate, while Montreal will be up against Uara Red Diamonds there. So expect that action at 4 a.m. to be coming your way. River Plate are leading the table with Inter Milan there. So it's quite by the way, it's a bit of a trick one, because if Montreal beat up against UR Reeds, then they have a chance to qualify for the round of 16, either at the expense of River Plate or Inter Milan. You know, so there's that. There's that, because Inter Milan play River Plate, they both have 4 points. If they finish in a draw, it's 5 points. Then they both advance unless Montreal beat UR Reeds by 3 or more goals. So there's that tricky part. Anyways, in that regard, but that's a debate at the FIFA Club World Cup in regards to what's going on at the moment. Like I said, the round of 16 is sort of, bound to happen. But whoever advances between Dortmund and Fluminense, if Dortmund could meet Inter Milan, Fluminense could meet River Plate if Group E remains as it is in terms of that tally. But let's wait and see how everything will look like going forward. Then what else have we missed? I do not think there's anything that we missed really. I certainly do not think so. Maybe a little more on the transfer gossip. This is regarding, we've spoken about Darwin Núñez in regards to his supposed move to Napoli. Nottingham Forest did reject a bid for Anthony Elanga, that was in the region of £45 million from Newcastle. They do value the Swedish international, only 23 years of age, at a value of about £60 million. Then Barcelona are considering a loan move for Manchester United's Marcus Rashford, despite their pursuit for Nico Williams, while Newcastle are willing to make 25-year-old Swedish striker Alexander Isak the most paid player in the club's history, dependent of interest from Arsenal and Liverpool, while Fenerbahce are interested in signing Jordan Sancho as well as Napoli. Manish. Hi, Manish. Hello, my brother. Good to have you back. It's been a while. I haven't seen you in a bit. Hi, Manish. How are you doing? Watching you from India. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Team India. India has been really been kind to me. Thank you so much, my brother, for sparing a moment to be with us here. Then Sunderland wants a solo striker. That's Sassuolo winger Amadi Laurenti, while Everton and Manchester United are both interested in Leicester City's Wilfred Ndidi. That's the holding midfielder, available for, who has a £9 million relegation release clause in his contract, apparently. That's according to TalkSport, while Nottingham Forest and Marseille are interested in Ajax's 35-year-old Jordan Henderson. Pretty much that's the little bit of it. Everton, Brentford, West Ham, and Fulham are all reported to have interest in Omari Hudson. Happy to see you, brother. God bless you. Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you so much. Really, I do appreciate your support and your kindness. Thank you so much. And much love to all your colleagues, friends, and family in India there. All I can say is much love, really. But yeah, those are some of the updates regarding the, transfer speculation regarding to, regarding, the update from the FIFA Club World Cup, regarding Arsenal in regards to their pursuit for Christian Norgaard. That deal has been agreed. We do expect the player has been granted permission to travel for his medicals. We do expect that to, to go on in the coming couple of days to be finalized in as soon as possible. Remember, teams have started their preparations for preseason. Those that do usually do some early preseason work, then they are getting things, in the pipeline already. Slovenian club sacks Nigerian player after impregnating the president's daughter. I mean, this doesn't get any better. Any Nigerian on the broadcast, because Slovenian club sacks Nigerian player after impregnating the president's daughter. I signed a 3-year deal with the option for another year, but last month I ran into trouble when my girlfriend, who happens to be the daughter of the president, said she was pregnant for me. I mean, that's according to omgvoice.com. So surprises do not discriminate, but that's it from the world of football. So I'm still waiting for those games to wrap up in the UEFA in the FIFA Club World Cup, for us to know who is advancing from here. It's finished 1-0 in favor of Dortmund against Island, while this game between Mamelodi Sundowns and Fluminense is still in the 97th minute. We are yet to, neither team is yet to find the breakthrough. Neither team is yet to find the breakthrough. I thought Mamelodi has played well. They've just not done enough to create that, goal scoring opportunity that would have sent them over the line. But they are up against a very, very formidable opponent in Fluminense, really. So let's see out this game. We're into the 98th minute of the game. And I think about 8 minutes were added. I can see some fans here for Mamelodi Sundowns are already, they're wearing their faces of disappointment. And while those of Fluminense are there really, really praying in their mother tongues to see that, their team does advance. Then tomorrow at 10 p.m. we'll be watching Juventus up against Manchester City, while Wydad Casablanca will be up against Al Ain. We do expect Man City and Juventus to advance from Group G, and then wait on whoever between Real Madrid and Al Hilal and Red Bull Salzburg. So it could be Salzburg, and it could be Man City versus Real Madrid. I mean, that could be quite the game for as far as the round of 16 is concerned. For a tournament that is really, really clamoring for that level of competition. Let's wait and see. I've seen some reports that players are playing with, reservations for their energy. They know they're going to be playing another full season coming up really soon. That's not what I've really felt in regards in as far as watching this tournament is concerned. And it's game over, 0-0 between these two sides, between Mamelodi and Fluminense. That means Fluminense do advance to the knockout stages. They have managed to avoid defeat. Mamelodi Sundowns are sent packing there. So, but it's not what I've felt. Given the kinds of conditions that they are playing in, it's summer, it's blazing hot out there in the United States of America. So it's only plausible. It's only understandable that if you feel that their energy does drop a bit. The other day, Jude Bellingham was complaining about the playing surface or the turf, that the ball doesn't bounce off well enough, that it's taking a toll on their knees and things of that nature, really. So for people that make the argument that players are playing with a certain amount of reservation, I cannot dismiss them totally, but for me that's not what particularly I felt following this tournament so far. Anyways, guys, that's it from me on the Football Tribe Media channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect as always. Have a blessed night, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for tomorrow's broadcast. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.